Hey everybody, welcome to the Bro Barian channel. This is your Bro Baron. I hope you guys are doing well. Good morning or good evening or whenever you see this. I think it's gonna be posted Sunday morning. As a matter of fact, I know it will because I'm gonna have to put the date out for it. Either way, hope you guys are doing well. Let me start this off right. God, family, country, and Pittsburgh sport, and in particular the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, so today I just want to speak about some things that I noticed between Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. Okay, very similar paths, just from every different situation they had starting points that are very similar, just from every just from very different starting points. I think I just said it all freaking crazy, but if you look at it, very similar paths, just from very different starting points. All right, so what am I talking about? Key points. Bill Cowher built the car. He took over in 1992 after two non-playoff seasons with the mighty Chuck Noll, and he rebuilt the franchise. Cowher won the Super Bowl in his fourth season, 1996. Tomlin got the keys of that beautiful car. And with that beautiful car, he had a roster that was built to win right away. Now, the last 2 years of Bill Cowher's era, they were on the downward spiral. I think the first of those second years, they didn't get to the playoffs. The second year, they did get there, but it was an 8-8 season, and they lost in that deal. So Mike Tomlin took over, just like Bill Cowher did in his time, and took them to the Super Bowl. At different lengths of when it happened, but it still happened. They both did their deal. They did their job of taking the keys to the kingdom and running with it, or taking the keys to the car and winning with it. Okay. So if you look at these little bullet points I have here, you'll see there's some very good similarities between the two, which I thought was pretty cool. I just want to share with y'all. Both inherited expectations of not doing rebuilding, but pretty much reloading gun. A few of us Steelers fans have heard that before, where they don't freaking rebuild, they just reload, and that's what they did both times. Cowher, 1996 and 2006. Tomlin, 2009, 2011. We talking about going to the Super Bowl. They both won out of those two visits. Okay, now let's see where they really align. Okay, if you look at Cowher and Tomlin, they inherited non-playoff teams. True. Not so much Tomlin, because I think the last year they did go, they just didn't win. They inherited playoff teams, immediately raised the floor. They had a defensive first mentality or identity. They wanted physical football, make sure they control the line of scrimmage. If you guys remember, stop the run. That was one that they both had, that type of mentality. And they wanted to make sure the quarterback can manage the game early on, and then over time expand, right? To where they can do a lot more splash plays. And of course, the defense made good splash plays too. The goal was all about culture, then the scheme, and then making sure the expectations were non-negotiable. The goal is to win, get to the Super Bowl, do their deal. Both coaches didn't get a big time juggernaut type team. They both had to work at it. It took them both years to make it happen, but when they did, it was a nice running machine. Okay, now when it comes to Cowher, let's just delve into the Cowher deal a little bit. Transition from a slash error type of play with Cordell Stewart. Then we got into Big Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger, we had receivers out the yin-yang. You talking about one of my favorites. I would still say Santonio Holmes. We had Charles Johnson. We had some players. We had Yancey Thigpen. I think he was during that time period. But I remember the running backs mostly. We had Mendenhall. We had Jonathan Dwyer. I think he came from Colorado. We had Eric Pegram. Yeah, remember that guy? I think he was number 21. And we also had Isaac Red Zone Redmond. We had a squad, receivers wide. They had a squad with Big Ben too. Over time, we started getting more quality receivers. We had, of course, AB, and I think before AB there was another receiver. Name escapes me, but he ended up leaving because contract money situation. We ended up getting, of course, you know about us getting Najee Harris, but before that, one of my favorite runners, definitely number 26, Le'Veon Bell. He was pretty nice to watch. We had a lot of, and D'Angelo Williams. I really like that guy as a runner. And also, Tomlin benefited from Big Ben as well, but he ended up getting some good players. I think that's the time when AB really got there. I think that was under Tomlin, if I remember right. But no matter what, Each coach got the players that they needed to, how can I say, get the job done the way they wanted to. Basically, you got to have a mechanic. He has the right tools. And each coach, rather it's Tomlin or Cowher or Tomlin, I'm not gonna put one over the other, got the players they needed. Now I might have mixed up AB going to Cowher or Tomlin, but I think you guys get the picture. They both have players that really made it so that what they wanted to happen worked. Right? Wasn't perfect, but they found a way. But I know for sure, without a doubt, some of these players definitely was with Cowher, and that was definitely Cordell Stewart. Right? Um, it was hard to watch a lot of that stuff, especially when he went from Cordell Stewart to Tommy Maddox, and from Tommy Maddox, it went to, of course, Big Ben. And Tomlin had Big Ben, and then it went from Big Ben to Mitchell Trubisky. You had Duck Hodges, you had Kenny Pickett, and then we also had Russell Wilson and Fields. And now you guys know what we got now. And with that, the receivers that went along with it. But I noticed both Cowher and Tomlin had issues with offensive line. Cowher in the beginning had it, and then over time we ended up getting that one offensive coordinator and really elevated our offensive line play, which helped our running game. But still, the running game under Cowher wasn't perfect either, because I remember we used to find that before we got Le'Veon Bell, we had Jerome Bettis of doing short yards. Remember, sometimes he get like 3 yards and probably had 3 touchdowns. We had Rashard Mendenhall, Willie Parker doing their deal too, but it wasn't perfect, right? There were some issues that they had when it comes to being consistent. Somebody was always hurt. Big Ben was always throwing the ball left and right instead of forward, because that was kind of like the running game. You know, we had offensive coordinators that was going in and out. We had a lot of offensive coordinators. We came down to the last 3, ended up doing pretty decent. I remember Ron Earhart was one of them. Of course, we had BA. Him and Big Ben became really good friends. Then I can keep on going down. And I think the one thing that stayed with us the longest was definitely the defensive coordinator under Bill Cowher. And it transitioned to Mike Tomlin too. And that was definitely Dick LeBeau, which I loved his schemes, that 3-4 stuff, the cross blitzes that they used to do, which is, it's a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing. Now, as I scroll down, you'll see that when I was talking about the running game, I did a little bit of reading, did a little bit of research, and a lot of it came from just remembering those days and how we felt when certain things were going on. Under Cowher, we had a running game that was all about running downhill. Big Ben was really good for that. Made so that them handoffs at the right times. You talking about with Jerome Bettis. Before that, when we had other quarterbacks, we had Bam Morris, if you guys remember. We had Steel Wheels, Barry Foster. We used to have that run-down mentality that was freaking awesome to watch. And we used fullbacks. Man, that was awesome. We used fullbacks. The goal was to make sure that the run game was so effective that they could dictate what was going on the field, right? And guess what? The more we ran, the better we ran, less time the defense had to worry about getting tired. Now, with Big Ben leaving, we had inconsistent offensive linemen. It was crazy. Run game was definitely reactive. They weren't imposing. You know, with Le'Veon Bell, it definitely was. People were scared of that guy because he was pretty effective in the run game. It forced a lot of defenses to really change their game plan that they would normally use against other teams against us, which was fun to watch. And one thing I used to like about Jerome Bettis is like they knew it was coming, they couldn't stop it, and that's something they used to say all the time. Now with Tomlin, he had a younger roster. He had to reset the offensive identity and philosophy a little bit. Different coordinators. The defense was still chick caliber. I could say for both coaches, they definitely had a situation where they had good defenses. Just sometimes they're just on the field for too long, you know, especially when it came to certain quarterbacks that was not Big Ben, right? And post Big Ben too, I want to say. So as a whole, we all know this, that both coaches took over teams. They didn't win immediately, but they found ways to get the teams back up to that winning standard. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. Those guys had to work. I'll say the one that broke me down pretty hard is when Bill Cowher finally got out there and we lost. And I can't even talk right. And they lost that game, you know. And then a few years later, he ended up going back and winning. But that game that he lost, even the AFC Championships games that he didn't win, it was heartbreaking to watch because he was trying so hard. And same thing with Tomlin. Tomlin working his tail off, doing this and that. A lot of these guys that used to play on these teams talk about how Cowher is and was, and definitely how Tomlin is, how they used to coach, how they would play really hard for these guys, and they still do. This is a beautiful thing. Um, I like the similarities these guys have. Now, besides all this stuff, you guys know we got a game coming up Monday against the Miami Dolphins in their running game. They run. They do stuff that we used to do when it comes to running downhill, dictating what the defense is going to do. What the defense is going to do. I would like to see how well we handle Miami Dolphins and what they're going to do against us. So, um, besides that, pretty much that's the defensive side. What are we going to do on offense? How are we going to handle things? You know, Aaron Rodgers with his receivers now, that's a little bit more mature. They can handle things in a different way that not Russell Wilson, I'm sorry, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin we're doing. These guys that they got now with MVS and Thielen, how are they going to do with this offense? Are they going to be better season? Are they going to do more? And now we got to worry about a situation that TJ Watt is not going to be there. I think that's going to be number 33 that we got from Ohio State. He's going to be taking over that spot, I would imagine. Let's see how well they do. It's going to be interesting for sure. Monday Night Football game. They're wearing their color rush. Man, it's going to be good. I can't wait to see how this rolls out. I can't wait to watch. And I want to say this, you guys. My voice is acting crazy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I didn't, get crazy and make it so you guys got bored. I was really trying to think about how can I show this to you guys and not make it too boring. So I hope I did okay with that. I hope you guys got some good data from it. And of course, I'm seeing it. I'm leaving this up here because I know some of you guys want to do some, investigation on your own, find out some data. I might have missed something. If I did, I'm sorry. But the goal was to say these two guys had very similar paths and they got their goals, and it was really cool to see. And I can't wait to see how far Tomlin goes with it. Right now, he's definitely going through some troubles, going through some challenges, as they say. And it's kind of interesting to see how they work it out. This could be a great story. All these challenges and stuff they're going through, players and coaches included. This would be a great story if this all works out like I'm hoping. So let's see what happens. Thanks thanks again, guys, for listening. Sorry, I'm all tied up, but you guys know I'm getting tired. It's time for me to go to bed. But I'm gonna send this out, and I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you once again. God bless y'all, and you guys have a good night. And if y'all see this Sunday morning, hope you have a good Sunday. Hope you guys have a good Sunday at church or whatever you're doing that Sunday. All right, take care.